birliğin güvenlik alanındaki çabalarında azami fayda ancak ve ancak NATO ile gereksiz tekrarlardan kaçınılmasıyla mümkün olabilir. Aklın ve mantığın emrettiği bir işbirliği modeli mümkünken birlik üyesi olmayan müttefiklerin dışlanması, kısıtlı kaynakların boşa sarf edilmesine ve Avrupa'da hiç arzu etmediğimiz bir suni bölünmeye yol açacaktır. Bu tutumun Sayın Genel Sekreter'in işaret ettiği transatlantik savunma sanayi altyapısına hizmet etmediği de açıktır. Değerli mevkidaşlarım, Ukrayna Savaşı'nda Sayın Trump'ın barış vizyonunu paylaşıyor, Ukrayna'nın öncelikli ihtiyaç listeleri girişimine desteğimi bildiriyorum. Ukrayna'ya kendi milli envanterimizden sağladığımız askeri desteğe ek olarak puerel erişimi kapsamında katkımızı sürdüreceğiz. Ukrayna'yı desteklerken Rusya'yı da barışa yönlendirecek şekilde iletişim kanallarımızdan istifade ediyoruz. İran krizinin çözüm yoluna girmesinde sabotaj teşebbüslerine rağmen dostum Sayın Trump'ın sergilediği kararlı tutumu takdirle karşılıyorum. Diplomatik çabalarımıza ilave olarak Hürmüz Boğazı'nın mayınlardan temizlenmesi için gerekli katkıyı vermeye hazırız. Bu vesileyle Türkiye'yi hedef alan füzelere karşı NATO unsurları tarafından sağlanan destek için Amerika ve İspanya başta olmak üzere ilave hava savunma bataryaları konuşlandıran Almanya ve İtalya'ya teşekkürlerimizi ifade ediyorum. Konuşmamızı artırmamızın şart olduğuna inandığım İstanbul İşbirliği girişimi mensubu ortaklarımızın bugün bizlerle olmalarını önemsiyorum. Orta Doğu'da kalıcı barış anahtarının iki devletli çözüm olduğunu bir kez daha vurguluyorum. Özellikle Gazze ve Lübnan'da sükunetin sağlanması için hepimize görev düştüğünü ifade etmek istiyorum. Son olarak terörün tüm biçim ve tezahürleriyle mücadele konusunda tam bir dayanışma içinde olmamız gerektiğini hatırlatıyorum. Ankara zirvesinin hayırlara vesile olmasını diliyor. Zirvenin hazırlıklarında emeği geçenlere teşekkür ediyorum. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Good morning, all of you, and let me first of all again thank our hosts, Turkey, the President of Turkey, the government of Turkey, but also the people of the beautiful city of Ankara. I do realize that organizing a summit like this in your capital also means that logistics for the people living in the capital is not that easy. So I really want to thank everyone living in Ankara for putting up with this. It is really appreciated. It is an important summit. You are gracious hosts. Thank you so much. Last summit in The Hague was all about planning, targeting. It was about the money. It was about industry. It was about, of course, continuing our support for Ukraine. This summit, as I always said, is about implementation, getting it done. When you look at the numbers, 258 billion extra spent dollars in 2025 and 2026 by Canadian and European allies, it's staggering. You're reaching the max you can spend more in terms of absorption capacity. When you look at the defense industry on both sides of the Atlantic, we are talking about almost 200,000 jobs in the US, supported by European and Canadian investments in the US when it comes buying from them, investing in them, the defense industry, and so many jobs in Europe and Canada directly related to this. But first of all, we do this because we need the kit. We need to be able to fight the wars if they would ever happen, basically preventing them being so strong that nobody will attack us. So this is why we need to ramp up defense industrial production. Yesterday was a great success. It was a splash, so many new contracts, so many new commitments. So this was also about implementing. Last year, planning, this year, implementing. And then the support for Ukraine, of course, continuing, extremely important. And I expect allies today to again commit multi-year. We will see exactly what comes out of it, but my expectation is that we will come out with a strong commitment to keep on supporting Ukraine. What this leads to is a NATO which is truly transformed. If you look at it from the United States perspective, you will have European allies which are much more capable to, with the US, work together in NATO to keep 1 billion people safe. President Trump has been able to finally get done what since Eisenhower American presidents tried to do, which was to equalize defense spending between Europe and the United States. It is now happening. On this trajectory, 5%, we already reached the 4% this year, which is amazing. Of course, not only because of President Trump, also because of the Russian threat. But let's be honest, President Trump encouraging European allies and Canada to do this has really helped. And it is delivering. I think this is absolutely important. So a much stronger NATO, a much stronger Europe in a stronger NATO. NATO 3.0. And then I also expect allies today to discuss Iran. I expect allies today to reconfirm that Iran should never, ever get its hand on a nuclear capability. And secondly, that the principle of the freedom of navigation, so the Strait of Hormuz, completely opening up again is a sine qua non, is crucial for all 32 allies. So with that, I'm happy to take a few questions. Sure. I cannot hear you. Is there a microphone somewhere? Oh, sorry. Then I'll just listen better.
Talking about Greenland sovereignty
okay,
and again putting troops in Europe. This alliance doesn't
On
sound
that
very
issue,
united.
we discussed this at length in Davos. As you know, we have a process in place. I think he absolutely has a point that Iran, sorry, not Iran here, it's China and Russia gaining access to the Arctic. So it is crucial that as an alliance, and this is what we agreed in Davos, work together to make sure that doesn't happen. And also when it comes to Denmark and Greenland itself, we have a good process in place.
General Steve Sedgwick, CNBC. Thank you, sir.
Good to
He's
see you.
already said he's very disappointed with NATO in his opening comments, disappointed with them regarding Iran, disappointed regarding the lack of action from NATO allies over Iran, despite your best efforts yet again to explain to the President how much Europe is spending, how much Canada is spending, and what support could be available for Iran. Is it falling on deaf ears? And actually, he said he doesn't even want to be here without Mr. Erdogan's intervention.
Well, hey, listen, we know that there is disappointment on the American side when it comes to Iran, and it has to do with isolated cases. At the same time, we see up to 5,000 sorties from European bases. It's implementing all the bilateral basing agreements. It is, again, Europe as one big platform of power projection for the United States. That's happening. And when it comes to the money and the spending, I mean, Europe now equalizing with the United States. It is this president who encouraged us to do this, very forcefully. Of course, there is also the Russian threat, which forces us to do this on the European side of NATO. And I think this is a big win for the American president. He has been extremely successful, pushing for this since Trump 45, now achieving it in Trump 47. Yes, sir.
What is your reaction on the recent US attacks on Iran, and why don't you fear that this will overshadow this summit?
Well, I think it was absolutely necessary. Because when you have a ceasefire, and Iran is basically violating the ceasefire, we see what happened yesterday with ships being attacked, I think it is totally crucial that the US forcefully reacts.
Do you think that the current level of Allied forces in Poland is enough to deter Russia?
Well, you know, what we have to do is forces, we need the kits, so the defense industrial output, we need everything. And are you from Poland? Your country is investing heavily in its armed forces. You have already basically achieved all the targets. You are reforming your armed forces as we speak. You know there is a strong US commitment to Poland. We have heard this from every senior politician in the US. But of course we have to look and make sure every day that we are as strong as possible. Yes, there, over there.
In the Washington Summit declaration 2 years ago, Russia was described as the most significant and direct threat to the Allies' security. And back in The Hague, the Allies just mentioned a long-term threat posed by Russia to Euro-Atlantic security. Do you expect even softer language in this declaration and doesn't represent the shift in the alliance?
I expect again for today to acknowledge collectively that Russia is the long-term threat to NATO territory. But hey, you have to read the declaration when it comes out. But I have clear expectations that the long-term threat of Russia will again be noted. Yes, please.
Sorry, Mr. Secretary, thank you so much. You say that this summit is about delivery. What is the single most important outcome that you're expecting to see out of this summit? Are we expecting to see something like 5% defense pledge like we saw at the summit in Hague? Are we expecting?
But this is about delivering on the pledge. The 5% pledge was there. What we are now doing is delivering on the 5% pledge. And the amazing news is that already this year in 2026, we have, when you combine the core defense spending and the defense-related spending, we have already reached 4% on a 10-year trajectory. In 1 year, Canada and Europe getting to the 4%. And that means huge increases in core defense spending, also increases, of course, in defense-related spending. But then on the priority, given the fact that spending is going up and so much money is now coming in, also noting that we need to keep the support for Ukraine going, I think the main issue yesterday, today, is defense industrial output. Because in the end, you cannot defend yourself with dollars or pounds or euros or liras here in Turkey. You have to protect yourself with men and women in uniform. You have to recruit them, and you need the defense industrial output. This was the problem. It's not completely solved, not in the US, not in Europe. We still need more defense industrial output, but we are really getting so far ahead already this year. You've seen it yesterday. Two more questions.
You said yesterday you invoked the spirit of the World Cup and talked about NATO being one team. And yet, as we've heard, Donald Trump saying he could pull US troops out of Europe. He wants to take hold of Greenland again. Do you take his threats seriously, or do you still think that he is a committed member of the team?
He is completely committed to there is complete commitment of the United States to NATO, but there was one, and still to a certain extent, is one expectation. So the commitment is there, no doubt. Also because NATO is there in the US interest to prevent, for example, the nuclear submarines of Russia to end up on the shores of the United States. The US, to stay safe, needs to secure Atlantic, Europe and Arctic. So there is complete commitment to NATO. But hey, there's also an expectation. And the expectation was and is that the Europeans and the Canadians will equalize their spending with the United States, which I think, and many of the colleagues in the room today think, is completely fair. Now, the good news is, and this is the big win today, it's a loss for Putin, it is a win for President Trump, that the Europeans and the Canadians are doing exactly that. Final question. Sir, with the hat.
Lauri from Finland.
Can you speak a little bit louder?
Yeah. What is your message to Russia and Vladimir Putin? They are carefully following NATO Summit here in Ankara. What is your message?
My message is that this alliance of 1 billion people living in Europe, living in Canada, living in the United States, that this alliance will defend every inch of our territory, that you cannot win from NATO. We are defensive, we will never attack anyone, we will only defend our way of life, our democracies, our territory, so don't fool with us, don't play with us. Thank you so much, and I'll see you after the conference at my press conference. Looking forward to that. Take care. Good morning, all of you, and let me first of all again thank our hosts, Turkey, the President of Turkey, the government of Turkey, but also the people of the beautiful city of Ankara. I do realize that organizing a summit like this in your capital also means that logistics for the people living in the capital is not that easy.
Thank you very much. We've had some great meetings. We had dinner last night with President Erdogan, and I think it was really, I would rate it a 10. maybe a 12.
A bit of a small palace,
12.
I think.
Yeah, no, it's beautiful. Everything is beautiful. And we've had some very good meetings, in particular with Turkey and trade, and now we're meeting with everybody today. As you know, we're going to have a very big meeting with lots of leaders from, I think, every country, right? Every country showed up,
They're all
every
there.
NATO country.
Yeah.
Plus, we have a couple that aren't in NATO that would like to be in NATO, I guess. But it's been very successful. It's been a fantastic meeting. So I'll be having a news conference after we're finished it at about 4:30, 5 o'clock. And I assume most of you will attend. But a lot of things have been determined, and some things haven't, frankly. We attacked very powerfully last night the very dangerous people from Iran. They're sick. There's something wrong with them. We said, go and do your funeral stuff. And instead of that, they start shooting rockets at ships yesterday. And so we hit them very hard last night, very hard. I would say 20 to 1, 20 times tougher. And I told them, every time you hit, we hit. And of course, they're dirty players, so they go after everyone, probably including me. I've been number one on their list for years. And they're a bunch of scum, you want to know the truth. They're scum. And so we don't like them. I don't like them. And they're evil people, and it's the denuclearization of Iran. And we're going to denuke it. We're not going to let them because they're crazy, and they can't have a nuclear weapon. And they go around killing people. They've killed thousands and thousands of our soldiers. They've killed hundreds of thousands of innocent people. They had the roadside bomb, Soleimani. I took care of him, first term. And that was a big thing, because I think it probably would be a lot stronger had he been around, because he was a bad guy, but he was an evil genius, but a bad guy. And he was the father of the roadside bomb. The roadside bomb is a bomb that goes on when you're driving your little vehicle around, and it goes on and you have no legs, no arms, and no face. And they've killed thousands and thousands of people. Even the SS Cole was theirs, you know, if you remember that disaster. So I don't like them at all. And frankly, I think we waste a lot of time with them. I think we should just do our business. Can you imagine? They start shooting bombs, actually missiles at ships yesterday. Saudi Arabia, Kuwait, a couple of others. And they don't. I don't think they know what the hell they're doing. But they're bad people, very bad people. I think they're incompetent, by the way. Because if they were competent, they would have made a deal a long time ago. Like, how about 47 years ago? So they've been in trouble for 47 years, and we took out their first set of leaders. We took out their second set of leaders. They want to take out the U.S. leader, me. I'm on every list. I saw things this morning. I'm on every single one of their lists. And so far, I guess I've been a little bit lucky, but that maybe doesn't last very long, because that's the way it goes. But we have great people. But these are evil, sick people, and we have to rid their cancer. They're cancer. And you know what you do? You got to cut out cancer early. And that's the way I feel. And I want to thank Mark. He's been a great Secretary General of NATO. I'm not happy with NATO because of what they did with Greenland. And I'm not happy with NATO because of the fact that they didn't want to help us with the #1 state sponsor of terror. That's Iran. They were unwilling to help us. Now, in all fairness, I didn't speak to Mark about it. I think if I did, it might have been different. But we didn't need help. But I was really testing. I wanted to see whether or not they'd be there. And the answer is they were. I spoke to Germany. I spoke to France. Spoke to UK. Spoke to Italy. I didn't speak to Spain. Spain is a wasted cause. We don't want to do any trade business with Spain anymore, by the way. I'd like you to cut it off. Spain is a terrible partner in NATO. They don't participate. They don't pay. I don't want anything to do with Spain. Cut off all trade with Spain, please, including visits. Okay, we don't want anything to do. Watch them come running back. Oh, they'll come running back. They treat this man terribly, and this man's a good man too, great man. They're lucky they have him. But Spain doesn't agree to anything, and you shouldn't carry him. I mean, you sort of automatically carry because you're protecting an area, so they're there. So they probably figured they have to protect us, right? But we don't have to. We don't have to trade with them. I don't want to do any more trade with them. All right?
Yes,
take it immediately. You don't even talk to them. They're hopeless. Bad people, because, you know, they have everybody else going and paying and working. In Spain, in particular Spain, there are a couple of others, but in particular Spain, they're open about it. They're hostile about it. And let's see how hostile they remain when they call up and they, please, please, we want to trade with you, sir. We want to trade with you, sir. They make so much money with us, and we're going to see that they make a lot less. I want no business with them. So, other than that, we're having the big meeting in a little while, and I'm going to relate my problems. Greenland is a big problem for us, and the other big problem is the fact that when we wanted them, we didn't want them badly, but we did say, if you want to join us, and they all said no. But when they could have, they weren't there for us, and we've been there for them. We spent over $1 trillion over the last short period, $1 trillion, in order to protect these countries from Russia, and has nothing to do with us. We have an ocean, but it's been a long-term thing, and they haven't treated us right. And Mark understands that. He understands that. And we're going to work something out, I think, one way or the other. But we've been treated unfairly. We pay disproportionately. We had a time when we were paying 100%. We were paying 100% of NATO, and yet a lot of the countries weren't paying anything. But there was calls made a few weeks ago. I spoke with the UK, and the Prime Minister said, well, we don't want to help you now, but we'll help you when the war's over. I said, that's not good. And likewise, I spoke to Germany. They didn't want to help. I spoke to France. They didn't want to help. Nobody wanted to help. Some of the very small countries wanted to help because they're the most vulnerable. I mean, that's the only reason they wanted to help. So I appreciate you being here. We're going to be going back together, many of us together. And again, I want to say, despite the fact that I'm very upset with NATO, that we pay far, far too much, billions and billions of dollars too much, because it's unfair, because we're protecting them. So we protect them, but they're not there for us. Think of it. Doesn't work. But I want to say this is a great leader. They're lucky they have him. It's their biggest asset. You want to know the truth? So, Mark, would you say a few words?
Absolutely, and thank you so much, Mr. President, dear Donald. Let me start with Iran. We discussed it last night at the Presidential Palace. I think what you did, degrading the nuclear capability, crucial for Israel, the region, for Europe, degrading the ballistic missile capability of Iran, crucial for Israel, for the region, for you, for the whole world. And then trying to bring this to a peaceful end. They attacking ships yesterday. I think what you did last night was absolutely necessary. It was a very strong response. And I'm with you on this. It's really important. When it comes to NATO, what you have achieved, and this is a huge win, and I just want to say this again, the last 2 years, Canada and European NATO nations spending $215 billion more in 2024 and 2025 and 2026 compared to 2024. This is staggering, 258 billion. In the meantime, almost 200,000 jobs in the US being supported by all the investments by countries in the United States in the defense industrial base, buying from the defense industrial base from the US companies. So here you see there is you have been able to really get them to step up, to do this. And when it comes to Iran, I know you are disappointed. We discussed it a couple of weeks ago. I would say these are isolated cases. 5,000 planes taking off from European airports in support of Epic Fury. It was Europe as one big platform of power projection for the United States, helping with Epic Fury, including countries you mentioned, Germany from day one, France, and many others. We discussed the Bucharest airport, which was closed for a couple of days for commercial traffic because you needed it for Epic Fury, and they were totally
United
fine.
Kingdom wouldn't let us use the island for 2 weeks, so we had to fly back.
No, so I'm saying you're right. There are isolated
and
cases.
Italy was very bad, having to do with their bases, as you know, and a couple of others. So
But still, generally, 5,000 is huge. And you mentioned Spain. Even you got Spain to pay 2%. They made a huge step in last year. So there's still issues we have to solve. But hey, also even on Spain, I would say they got to the 2%. And I know you have a very strong relationship with the United Kingdom, the King, but also you personally always with Keir Starmer, who is now leaving office. He has now also committed to spend another $20 billion extra, 15 billion pounds on defense. So I would argue, without you in this chair, this would not have happened. It is, of course, because of Russia, but also because of you. So grab to win, it's there. You did this. It was The Hague, and now they are implementing it. And on Greenland, you and I made a deal in Davos. I will make sure that that deal is step by step being implemented. That you can deploy, if you want, the Golden Dome on Greenland. You have your trilateral talks. Marco is leading them from your side with the Greenlanders and the Danes when it comes to if they would change their constitutional position in the kingdom, etc. But hey,
I mean, just so they understand, Greenland is very important for the United States, but it's not important for Denmark. In fact, when Denmark was overrun by the Nazis in less than one day, Hitler beat them out in one day, took over. They asked us to take care of Greenland. In fact, we took Greenland, and then stupidly we gave it back. We shouldn't have given it back to them because we're the ones that need it. We need it for protection of the world, not just the United States. And it's very important. It doesn't help Denmark, but it helps us. And it's very important for us. And again, they were defeated very quickly. Denmark was beaten in one day, less than one day, by the Nazis, by Hitler. And when this happened, they immediately switched it over to us. We owned it. We had it. We were taking care of it, and then we gave it back, which is, I don't know why. I wouldn't have given the Panama Canal back either, you know, so what do I know? I certainly wouldn't have done that because China's trying to take over the Panama Canal, and that's not going to happen. So, but I just, you know, it's interesting. I'm very unhappy with NATO, and yet this man is a great leader, and he gets it. He gets it maybe better than some of the leaders.
But also that your allies get it, thanks to you, and that is important. Yeah. I could not do this without you.
It's too bad Biden didn't do it, or Obama.
Hey, but you are here now.
Obama.
And you and Trump 45, and Trump 47. In total, more than $1.2 trillion. I call this the Trump trillion.
You know, it's true,
$1.2 trillion extra spent by Canada and the
And I'm not only blaming NATO. They're getting they got a free ride. And
not
if
anymore.
Biden had any brain, which he didn't, he would have said, you got to pay more. And same with Obama. Two bad presidents. But they could have asked, and you would have done that too. It would have been, I mean, who knows? But who knows if they would have done it.
Happen, and it is a huge...
It should have happened years ago, and it couldn't. But Obama didn't do it, and Biden didn't do it, and frankly, Bush didn't do it either.
But you did what Eisenhower started trying to do, equalizing the
He
Europeans.
tried, yeah. Eisenhower tried.
And all the other presidents, none of them were successful. You were the first one. It's your win. Your win in The Hague.
That's why I like him.
And the win now.
That's why I like him.
This is true. Without you, this would not have happened. Really.
Do you have any questions?
Mr. President, on Iran, is the ceasefire over? Is the ceasefire done? Is the MOU dead?
It's a very interesting question. To me, I think it's over. I don't want to deal with them anymore. They're scum. You know what scum is? They're scum. They're sick people. They're led by sick people. And they're vicious, violent people. And if they had a nuclear weapon, they'd use it. As far as I'm concerned, it's over. I'll speak to our negotiators. They want to negotiate. They're good people. Steve Witkoff, Jared Kushner. But they have to come back to me. As far as I'm concerned, it's just a waste of time dealing with them. They're liars. We make a deal. And if I make a deal with him, we have a deal. Then he goes out, he talks. We make a deal. Everyone's agreed. No nuclear weapon. We make a deal. They go outside, talk to the press. They say, we never even talked about it. There's something wrong with them. They're cuckoo. As far as I'm concerned, it's over.
So are we back to the talks won't resume after we get through the funeral proceedings?
What?
Does this mean that talks with Iran will not resume?
I don't care. They can talk, but I think they're wasting their time. They're a bunch of lying guys. I do my whole life. That's all I do is deals. My whole life that's how I became president. I guess that's a deal too, right? But I made a lot of money. I had a lot of great success, tremendous success. Everything I did, I was successful. And I deal with these guys, and I say, this is from a different school. They're liars. They're cheats. They're sick people. They've hurt their people. They killed 54,000 people as of now that were protesting. You know, when people say, how come they haven't taken over? They can't take over because they're dead. They killed them. Nobody's going to take over. They have no guns, and the other side has machine guns. And they're killing them. The press doesn't report it. But they're bad people. They're bad people. And frankly, I don't want to waste my time with them. Now, I'll let our wonderful negotiators keep talking if they want, but I don't see it. I don't like these people. You know that? I like him. I like the leaders. I think all of these leaders.
Great. And they love
I think they didn't treat the United States fairly for many years, but that's okay. But they're sane, rational, good people. Most of them. I don't like a couple of them, to be honest with you. But there are a couple I don't like much. But I like Erdogan. I'll tell you. I like President Erdogan. He rolled out the red carpet. He's terrific. You know, he could have gone into the war. A lot of people saying, like with Bibi, I like Bibi. I think Bibi was a terrific wartime prime minister. But Bibi said rough things yesterday about Turkey and Erdogan. And I said, you know, I spoke to him. I said, he could have gone into the war because he doesn't like Israel much. And he doesn't like Bibi much. And he didn't go because of me. And this is a military power. Millions of soldiers. Turkey is very strong. They have a lot of our best equipment. They're trying to get the F-35s. But he didn't go in. He wanted it. He would go in. If it weren't for me, he would have gone in. And he would have been on the other side. Even though I don't think he likes the other side either, because he happens to be very sane and they happen to be very crazy. But so I think, you know, they treated us right. I think China treated us right. I was with President Xi and I said, I hope you're not going to go into the war because we don't want that. You know, he gets 50% of his oil from the Strait of Hormuz, and he gets more than 50%. And he never went into the war. He didn't supply him equipment. You know, he was great. I'm a big fan of President Xi. A lot of people say, oh, why? You know, I watched a couple of people critical of the fact that TikTok is so bad. It's so dangerous. It's so horrible. They're spreading all these rumors. And the numbers came out yesterday. You know who's number one on TikTok? I am. I'm number one on TikTok. And all I talk about is how bad communism is, right? They say, oh, it's terrible, they're spreading, but I'm number one. And I listen to Gordon Chang. I like Gordon Chang, but he's always like negative. Oh, China's so terrible, they're so terrible. And TikTok is so terrible. But I'm number one on TikTok. I had like 4 billion views or something like that. So I don't know. People have to get the priorities straight. We have had a really good day. We're going to have another good half a day, and then I'll see you later, and we'll talk to you. Thank you very much. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Please take your seats, dear colleagues. And a warm welcome to this summit. And without further ado, it is my honor and pleasure to give the floor to our host, the President of the Republic of Turkey. Please, President Erdogan, you have the floor.
Sayın Genel Sekreter, kıymetli devlet ve hükümet başkanları, Lahey zirvesinde aldığımız kararlar temelinde Avrupalı müttefikleri daha yetkin birer güvenlik sağlayıcısı haline getirmeye odaklanmış durumdayız. Türkiye olarak 2030 yılından önce savunma harcamalarımızın oranını %3,5 düzeyine yükseltmek için tedbirlerimizi aldık. Güvenlik ve dayanıklılıkla bağlantılı harcamalarda ise şimdiden %1,5'luk bütçe payına ulaştık. Böylece %5 hedefine Lahey'de belirlenen 2035 yılından 5 sene önce erişmeyi hedefliyoruz. Kuşkusuz ülkemizin asıl başarısı savunma sanayindeki atılımdadır. Üretim ve ihracat kapasitesi itibariyle dünyanın ilk 10 ülkesi arasına girdik. İttifakta bize tahsis edilen 361 yetenek hedefinin neredeyse tamamını 3 yıl içinde taahhüt edilen tarihinde öncesinde karşılamış olacağız. İttifakımızda eksikliği en çok hissedilen hava ve füze savunma kabiliyetlerine çelik kubbe projemizle 24 milyar dolar ilave bütçe ayırdık. Avrupa'daki en büyük kara ordusuna sahip ülke olarak yeteneklerimizi ihtiyaç duyulan aşamada ittifakın hizmetine sunmanın gayretindeyiz. Kosova'da, Karadeniz'de, Baltıklar ve diğer coğrafyalarda ittifakın harekat, misyon ve tatbikatlarına katkı veren müttefiklerin başında geliyoruz. İHA ve SİHA'ları gerçek muharebe alanlarında başarıyla kullanan bir müttefik olarak tesisini öngördüğümüz insansız sistemlere karşı koyma mükemmeliyet merkezimizi NATO'ya akredite etmeyi temenni ediyoruz. Bu merkezin bilhassa hava ve deniz drone tehditlerine karşı mukabele kabiliyetimizi destekleyeceğine inanıyorum. Değerli misafirler, NATO 3.0 hedefine en kısa zamanda ulaşmamız için şu iki hususa özellikle dikkat çekmek isterim. Birincisi, savunma sanayi başta olmak üzere savunma işbirliğinde müttefikler arasındaki kısıtlamaların kaldırılmasıdır. Savunma sanayi formunda bu mesajın hem endüstri hem hükümet yetkilileri tarafından vurgulanmış olmasını memnuniyetle karşılıyorum. İkincisi, Avrupalı müttefikler olarak kıta savunmasında daha fazla sorumluluk üstlenirken ittifakın bütünlüğünü ve transatlantik ilişkileri zayıf